열렸습니다. Kim, the founder and president of AHL Foundation.
아이재단 한국말로 아이재단인데요. 이거는 AHL 재단입니다. 그리고 그 워드는 어디서 왔냐면 아트하고 휴머니티하고 러브 세자가 합쳐서 된 말입니다. 제목을 보시면 오늘 전시의 타이틀이 Feminism is not your enemy. 그 두 워드가 여러분이 아마 어디를 가든지 그 두 워드는 잊지 않을 수 있는 그런 워드로 된 전시예요.
This initiative is launched this year for the first time, featuring and highlighting the AAPI women artists and the AHL Foundation. We use different kind of medium, including poetry, dance, cooking, sleepover. So every single work featured in this exhibition is so radical in a way that they use very multidisciplinary approach to it. But what they have common, what they all have in common is this desire for self-determination and self-expression.
Well, the work is called KAVoice, and it's contemplating how our voice has been socially programmed to sound like, especially as a femme person or as a woman. And this work is reclaiming a lot of cultural history of the past. And perhaps we can understand that our voice comes from the land or from nature, and that we don't have to subscribe to supremacist attitudes of the voice.
I have saved all of the loops, I've saved all of your voices, and we will be archiving the sound installation here for the next 2 weeks. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
today's exhibition, I'm debuting a new work called 5 Flavors, and it is a series of 5 stories from Asian American sex workers based in the New York City area. Each story that is presented will be paired with a dish that I select according to the 5 flavors in traditional Chinese medicine.
They looked at me up and down, their gazes calculating, and they begrudgingly accepted me. After running through all the white girls, I guess they could settle for an Asian one.
I invite you to first listen to the story and to then come to the table when there's a musical interlude and to sit down on that worker's behalf. And we'll start with the story of Ellie, who is a dancer from Manhattan.
This time was no different. The one who had chosen me dumped some onto his hand and motioned for me to start it. He saw my uneasiness. "Oh, you don't like to have fun?" "No, of course I do," I said quickly, knowing that hesitation could cost me my place in the room, in the way that they look at me, and in the way that they treat me during dances. One time, a Chinese guy had the audacity to offer me $10. I got the same treatment in that room. While the 2 white girls drank and partied, I was the one being aggressively fond. We stayed in that room for over 3 hours. There's no question that skinny white blonde girls have it easier. "Just work harder," she'll say, as if hard work alone could shift the gaze.
Dish with minced pork and sour. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, food not only, which is also associated with the element of wood and the season of spring. So welcome to the table and feel free to help yourself. In 1875, Congress passed the Page Act, which was the first federal restrictive immigration law. So before this loophole in immigration law, most Chinese immigrants worked for laundries. So that brings me to the second story from Cleo, which is about homeland and memory, about what is lost and rediscovered in the journey from one country to another.
2021 to attend the funeral of my grandpa who raised me. Because I was raised by him between the ages. And like, if you know anything about Shanghai, you know that it's completely changed from that. It's like a totally different city. And so in the summer of 2021, he passes away and I return to China. And,
What I'm serving for Cleo is a cumin lamb dish. So while our guests are serving themselves, I want to tell you a little bit about the evolution. She actually hosted this cooking show called Joyce Chen Cooks for WGBH. She was the first woman of color to have a nationally syndicated porn. And you see that in these images, the women performers have their mouths wide open, waiting for the money shot, right? And representing this sexual insatiability that we associate with the racial other.
In a system of illustrations of a system in which he becomes to oversee the production, to make sure that I got the funding from him, make sure that the scaffolding is up. We spent 5 minutes going in different permutations. So me and the 2 other doms all piss into this enema bag.
But I went there with my high school friends who were also American-born Chinese.
You could never fall asleep with one another, but while we feasted, do you love this world? Do you cherish your humble and silky life?
This final story that I'm sharing is in Korean, which is why there have been translations that are passed out for non-native speakers.
감사합니다. 무엇이니 어떤 행복한 감정까지만
We end so many homes in my home, and I'm sure in many Asian households. This is a sweet ending to the meal that acknowledges the feelings of empathy and compassion. So by now you might be wondering, what is my personal investment in this? Why am I serving food to strangers in a gallery? Why am I Asian? Why is it always Asian artists that do this? Is this socially engaged art supposed to make us feel included or uncomfortable?
What's your favorite? Tell me what's your favorite?